mentioned that she felt like contributed to her,
Mm-hmm.
she has doubled down on her. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have
Mm-hmm.
anything to do with that. That's her. We gotta, black people, listen, we're all we have. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna land my plane there.
Thank you, fam. I think Renee wanted to go next. Give me 1 second, Lovely. Let me get Renee in here, and then we'll get Lovely. Then I've got some thoughts I want to share too. How are you doing, Professor? So good to see you, and so good to see everybody that's come in. This is such an important conversation. Renee, fam, how are you? What are your thoughts?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
So my whole thing is I started my page as sort of a mental health page. I've kind of moved away from it more towards the political side of things, but
Mm-hmm.
I am very l- like open and honest about my own personal mental health struggles.
Mm-hmm.
And there's somebody in the comments who's like, well, why don't you just fight back? Why don't you just, you know, talk shit to people back? Pardon my language. But like,
Mm-hmm.
why do you as an adult think it's appropriate to
Mm-hmm.
harass strangers on the internet is the real question. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why do people have to defend themselves on the internet from other adults who just feel like going up to people that they don't know and unloading all of their vitriol, especially black people. Unlike, I'm not even gonna like make it a black issue because not for
Mm-hmm.
nothing, like it's not just a black issue. Like
Mm-hmm.
cyberbullying is a real thing that
Mm-hmm.
people who think that, oh well, you're not a real person, so I'm just gonna take out everything on you,
Mm-hmm.
feel they have an entitlement to harass strangers on the internet. So like I think the real issue, as outside of the victim blaming of, well, why didn't she just fight back? Why didn't you just turn off your phone? Why don't you XYZ? Why do you feel it's appropriate to harass strangers on the internet is the real question. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why is it okay for you as an adult to go up to strangers? You wouldn't do it on the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are things that you would not do in real life. So if you would not in real life go up to a stranger and call them names because you are an adult and you know that there would be consequences for those actions in real life, why is it okay for you to go up to somebody on the internet and unload your nonsense on them? My whole thing is that we as a culture and a society have normalized dehumanizing one another,
Mm-hmm.
right? I am not going to treat somebody like garbage because I have a good moral compass. I'm 45 years old and I was raised to treat people the way I want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
So I am not going to go up to somebody out of the blue for no reason and just start offloading on them because it's the internet and blah, blah, blah. I've been on the
Right.
internet since I was 10. I'm
Right.
not new to this.
Right.
Like I grew up on the internet. But to act like just because you feel like um, you have the right to make fun of people or you have the right to treat people like garbage does not mean that those people are deserving of your harassment. It's not right. It's not fair. My volume's all the way down. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Turn down your own phone. Um, it's not right. It's not fair, and it doesn't. There's nothing in the background. There's silence in my background. I don't know what to tell you again. It's the phone. Um,
No,
but
ma'am, I wasn't talking to you. I didn't know where it was coming from. So
oh,
yeah, I
well,
wasn't talking. Yeah, I wasn't talking
sorry.
to you specifically.
No worries. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, I just think that like it's just crazy to me that people can even come online and justify that they think that it's appropriate to offload their nonsense on strangers. And I'm gonna land my plane here. As black women, especially, I agree with what she said. We're all we've got, like we have each other and we need to take care of each other. And it is very disappointing, especially when women my age are coming on these apps to harass young ladies and steal their money and be bullies because I hold myself to a higher standard and I hold black women to a higher standard.
Can I say
Absolutely.
something? Can I say something? Respond. The reason that I'm saying African American people or women, it's because we don't take mental health, we don't look at it in a serious way. Like somebody was like, well, why didn't she fight back? Well, I'm a mental health advocate, but I have bipolar disorder. So sometimes if you're in an episode or you're having having problems, you can't fight back. You don't have the wherewithal. Was she on medication? What was going on? And this was the thing, guys, that really made me want to honestly throw up. This woman was SA'd by her therapist. They doxed her information, went and got a transcript of what happened and read it online. And then they kept saying she was lying about being SA'd, right? What the hell are we doing?
Can I just interject though? Because I feel like a lot of communities do that, and we only see it from Black people because we are Black people. But like, I just feel like when we say only Black people do XYZ, it defeats the purpose of anti-Blackness to me. Like
I didn't say no, I think you misunderstood.
That's
No, I didn't say that it's only a Black person's issue. What I am saying though, because we're talking about RZA, I'm making it that because the Black women were on there teasing this woman. Black women were on there doing doxing her and reading her sex SA information online.
yeah.
I'm only speaking, and I'm gonna land my plane, Smitty.
Okay.
I'm only speaking about Black people because this happened to a Black woman, and Black women are treated terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna land my plane.
Let me come in, y'all. Let me come in, y'all, because I want to make sure we get Lovely, A Money, and YKTV an opportunity. Yeah, absolutely, A Money. I'll let you go last, or if you got to drop, I'll bring you back on. Sash, good morning, fam. I'm glad you're here for this conversation. I think there was a couple people that said, hey, once you start content creation, this is kind of like part of the deal in that sense. And I think there is a difference. I think we got to distinguish between criticism, people being critical of your perspective, right? And what we call bullying. It's funny, Venezuela and America, come back tomorrow. I got you. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I almost did that today, but I think this is more important. And so, yes, absolutely. You make the decision to start a social media, quote unquote, career, right? Criticism, even harsh criticism, right? I think that's completely something you should be prepared for. But when it's, exposing your personal information that you did not expose, when it's creating content to purposely try to harm you, I think that goes above and beyond the line. Just like if you're in school and someone does that to you, right? Just like you're at work and someone does that to you. I think there's a difference. And so what we're talking about is the over the line stuff, not the, oh, Smitty, your take on whatever is horrible, or, you suck. Like that to me is part of like the deal, right? But there's a level of manipulation and hate, quite honestly, that goes far and above beyond that. That's what I feel like we're talking about. Let me go to Lovely, and then we'll go to YKTV. Lovely fam, how are you?
Hey, what's up, Smitty? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts is that people then become desensitized because they are behind a screen.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people feel like they can say anything because there's no accountability. I'm very controversial on my topics and I deal with bullying all the time, but I'm built differently.
Mm-hmm.
I let it roll off of me. Not everybody can do that. And I watched a little bit of that young lady's story. That lady had a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And what really hurt me, she was a beautiful soul. She just wanted friends and didn't know healthy boundaries. And I want to say something, and I don't mean to be mean. We are so, as a Black community, we are worse on each other than anybody else. And to see that girl go through that, and you should have been lifting her up, being a friend, being supportive. But I watched them slowly tear this girl down. This is why, Smitty, I don't deal with certain people on TikTok, you always see me do my lives by myself because they will dig up your information like they did a young lady, and they knew that she was kind of delayed in thinking, and they used and abused for likes and views. And like I said, this is a black on black crime at the end of the day. I feel like everybody involved should be held responsible, and like if they're not held responsible, they will do it again because there's no consequences behind it. So Smitty, may she rest in peace. But like I said before, we are our own worst enemy, and I'm gonna leave it there.
All right, thank you, Lovely. Again, I appreciate all the candid feedback, and thank you for letting me know about my mic with the feedback. I'll try to remember to stay on mute when I'm not talking, so I appreciate it. Hey, Money, I think you're good. I'll look at the request, but this is a conversation again. I just want to make sure we're responsible about it. I appreciate everybody being here. Please tap the screen and share out the live to folks that you think would benefit from an honest conversation on bullying. Again, if we want to talk about school, we want to talk about work, I just opened up this space to just have this conversation about bullying because, again, I don't think it's that much different, whether it's cyber, whether it's school, whether it's work, or whatever it may be. Let's go to YKTV. YKTV, your thoughts on bullying. What do you think? YKTV, are you there? Zam fam, how are you? Good to see you. Fam, as always. Ethio, good to see you. YKTV, last chance. Let me see if maybe you can't unmute. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see if that was it. Okay, YKTV. All right. We'll let YKTV down. If you're there, you want to re-request, feel free. Professor, how are you, Professor? Good morning.
I'm good.
What are your thoughts?
How are y'all? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. How do you feel about this?
It's an unfortunate situation. As someone who has worked in the higher ed field and had to unfortunately deal with situations where bullying has happened, and also where someone who goes through ideations has happened. I feel like a lot of the things that the panels have already said I really do concur. There's somebody in the comments who keeps on saying like the past transgressions of Rizzy. And I want to say straight up that even if Rizzy did participate in these kind of behaviors, so what? Rizzy didn't deserve to be able to go through any of the shame and the embarrassment that people inflicted on her, to the point like no one deserves the shame and embarrassment to have things inflicted on them so that they feel like that there's nothing else that they can do but take their own selves out. I just find it is very disingenuous when people say that, because they'll be like, oh my God, I was like, okay, but they still didn't deserve to go through that kind of pain. And I feel like when we have these conversations about bullying, whether it's cyberbullying at school, at work, I think it does take a toll on that and on people. And I feel like anytime when people sit here and say it takes a toll on anyone. So if they're trying to make friends and that sort of stuff, and they don't necessarily have they're dealing with the issues of self-worth and self-esteem, and they're not necessarily, it's not necessarily clicking in their brain that the people that they're hanging out with are not the folks that are healthy for them, then it is going to turn out to be a thing. I think I saw a clip where the folks from Messy Talk were talking with Rizzy, and Rizzy was in a psych ward. And I think the first thing I said was, I was like, who is suing the psych ward? Like, how's this person having access to this? Like, you shouldn't have, there's no way you should have, that should be okay. I feel like there was a lot of gaps missing from, not only from we could talk about the TikTok stuff, but the outside things. So when they talked about the essay, about being essayed and that sort of stuff, and being essayed by a person who is a provider, someone should have, like, the first thing in my mind when I hear something is like, who reported this? Did anyone report this? And why are we talking about this continuously? I do hope that the people who were involved in basically gassing this person up, and I feel like a lot of people don't know this, but there are cases around the country where people are going to prison for basically egging people on to do this stuff. And I think it's happened. I think it's happened in Massachusetts. It's happened everywhere. So I feel like
It's a law.
people are going to get, like, those folks who are doubling down and sticking their noses up and doing that stuff. They are going to have what's coming to them. Like, people are going to throw the book at them.
It's actually a law that cyberbullying is against the law. And the reason that they knew about it, that's a real case. Her case is actually, you can look at her case. So that's where they found it. It's some cases you can look at, and they did, and they doxed it, and then told everybody on social
Thank you.
media. So
Sorry, fam. Let me just come in real quick. Good morning, everybody. Jamal. So as much as I think, we want to talk about this specific incident, I do kind of want to expand the conversation because, and then I want to let YKTV get an opportunity to get into this too, because I can tell you that, this specific situation is that there are too many people. No, I'm good, y'all. I'm good. It's not me. But there are far too many people that have been highly impacted by the impacts of bullying on this app. People you love. I mean, people you really love. Obviously, I would never share specific details, but this goes very far and wide. Hey, Casey, good morning. This goes very far and wide. And so what I'm concerned about is if we talk too much about this specific situation, then it feels like this is kind of a one-off. I don't want people to feel like this. It is a problem. And again, I'm not talking about criticism. I'm not even talking about harsh criticism. I'm talking about people that get obsessed with others and literally do anything and everything to just ruin them completely. So let me go to YKTV. YKTV, your thoughts on this topic. What do you think?
What kind of bullying are we talking about? Are we talking about cyber bullying? Are we talking about like school bullying? Like what kind of bullying are we talking about?
So that's a good question. I created the topic to talk about any type of bullying, but the type of bullying that's being talked about specifically by the other panelists is cyberbullying of a specific content creator.
I don't really believe cyber. I don't believe that's really bullying. In my opinion, I don't believe that. I guess because I'm still young, but I mean, I also look at it like this: like when people go to like the military, they break people down. They talk a lot of crap. You know what I'm saying? So would you consider that bullying? I mean, same thing with police officers. You go to police academy, they go talk a lot of crap. They build you, they break you, and then they build you right back up. And you come out with a lot of confidence. So would you call that bullying? Your parents do the same thing, but the only difference is they're trying to get you out the streets if they love you. So they bully you, talk crap to you, whatever words you want to use. Football coaches do it the same too. Boxing coaches, whatever sports you play, they all do it the same. So
yeah,
I guess I'm trying to say, how would that be considered bullying?
As someone who played sports, I think some of the stuff that coaches do, I think is legitimate. I think some of the stuff that other coaches do crosses the line. I think it depends on what you're talking about, right? Yes. Do I think, let's talk about football, right? Is there a lot of tough love in football? A lot of hard criticism you're going to get from a coach in football? Yes. But are there other coaches that take it and go into manipulative and unhealthy tactics? I think yes as well. So it all depends. It all depends.
But at the end of the day, their end goal is to what? To get you better, right? To get you to
the goal is to get you better, but not.
They see something in you.
Yeah, absolutely. The goal is to get you better, but it doesn't make everybody better, if that makes sense. And
Okay,
some
like
of
I can use the military for, like I said, for the military it's supposed to be a teamwork thing, right? So
mhm.
everybody gets there. They don't really know this. So like I said, the military they break them all the way down, like truly break them, like get you in that damn like why am I even here type of mode, you know? Like did I make the wrong decision? And then they build everybody all the way back up. And then by the time they graduate, their confidence is stupid sky high. Like you can't tell them nothing.
But that's bullying too. I mean, we have a culture of bullying. That's
It
bullying.
all depends on how you look at it.
That's a culture.
let, let me read this comment real quick, and then I want to go to Renee. Um,
One of a content
oh,
creator committed. That's
so hey, Aisha, you're kind of breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry because I'm on there.
Yeah.
But,
Let me read this comment though, from
but I don't think
JJ.
he knows what happened. But keep going.
Yeah. Let me read this comment, and then my son's baseball coach bullied my son to the point my son no longer wanted to play. That's what I'm talking about, right? Like that. Again, there's a difference between tough love, hard criticism. Hey, you could be good, but you're not doing that. Like, there's a difference as a coach between that and then going over the line where you just completely destroy somebody. But let me go to Renee. Go ahead, fam. You're on mute.
It's been clinically proven psychologically that tearing people down does not make them better. Tearing people down gives people complex PTSD. My father was my first bully. I have complex PTSD from my childhood. You're confusing and conflating trauma with people being better people, and that is some old school nonsense that we need to let go of. Like you can't bully somebody into being a better person. And not for nothing, the tactics that he's talking about, police brutality and police, bullying each other and fraternities that are bullying people to the point where they unalive. These are bad things. These are the problems in society. And you're acting like, oh, well, it's beneficial. It made me a better, no, it didn't. It made you a person who wants to sit online and think it's appropriate to make fun of strangers because you think you're building them up. You don't know these people. What is the logic behind, oh, well, I'm just going to tear you down because that's going to make you a better person. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It literally generally doesn't. It traumatizes people and makes people terrified to express themselves. And who are you to decide that you get to make fun of somebody into and to mold them into? It's just none of the logic makes sense. It literally just does not make sense.
Can I go real quick?
Can I say something real quick?
Real quick. Let me let
So as a person,
so let me let Aisha go ahead real quick, and then I do want to let YKTV respond because Renee was addressing his comment.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Renee. Thank you for that. When I was in school, junior high school, I was bullied every single day by supposedly my friends. Every single day I was talked about. I needed braces. My teeth, what do you call it? Not an overbite, but whatever. My teeth stuck out. So they thought that was the funniest thing in the world. And every day, and I felt so bad about myself that I went into, even back then, I was like 7th grade, I went into a depression where I didn't want to even be alive. And back then, nobody cared anything about bullying. They get, it's people, they don't understand mental health issues because they think that you're weak because you can't deal with somebody teasing you every day. That something, all you got to do, they look at it as a weakness. What RZA did, they looked at it as a weakness. RZA was adopted by a quiet family, YT family. She had a disability. I think her leg, they teased her about having a comfort support animal, dog, about having that. They made a whole cartoon about this lady. So I just feel like the insensitivity, somebody in the chat said, oh, well, her hands weren't clean. People were telling this woman to commit, to unalive herself. And she did while they were saying it. And they made a little Spider-Man with a fan around his head flying in the air. Like, this is funny. I don't care who's doing it. I don't care if it's the police. I don't care if it's the military. I don't care who it is. Bullying does not help you. It doesn't. We need to get out of that old school mentality, because I can get my soldiers to do what I want by treating them like a human being. And I need people to join. We need more people in here. Smitty, this subject is so good and so much needed after the death of RZA. So please tap, share, like. He only has 107 people in here. We need more, and we need people to tap the screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. YKTV, I want to give you an opportunity to respond, then I want to go to Professor.
Well, they said it's not okay. I'm a chef, right? And I've worked under a lot of chefs. I had this one old school. We call them old school. If y'all know anything about cooking, yes, it's just like TV. You got chefs cussing you out, et cetera, et cetera. So this one chef, he got me really, really good. Really good. I'm talking about excellent, like perfect. Like I'm not messing up. Like I'm maybe better than the chef. In my opinion, I feel like I am, but I know I'm not. But he was old school. He was when he talked crap. He threw plates. He did all that. He was on my ass 24/7. Wasn't just me. It was all the employees. But I was new. So, the new kid always get picked on, and I got real good. So this happens at every job too. This is every job. When you first new and you don't really know nothing, they're going to pick on you. They're going to be like, oh, you don't know this, you don't know that. But guess what, though? You get good and good and good. You become better and better and better and better and better. And then you start thinking like, okay, I'm faster. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. Like, it helps you. It depends on how you're looking at it. You're all looking at it with a soft mentality. I guess because I come from cooking. I don't know. I may be a little bit
worked in many
different. I
restaurants.
live in
It's still
chaos.
harassment.
But it's something. But I live in chaos. See, and this is my
I live in New York.
Oh, so you should definitely know Michelin star restaurants. Like you should know this. Like,
I
they're
do,
crazy.
and just because something is ubiquitous doesn't make it right. Slavery was ubiquitous at one point. Was that right?
Baby girl, you can go to one of the Michelin star restaurants right now, and I guarantee you probably hear the chef screaming and
Again,
cussing
just
right now
because
as we
it's
speak.
ubiquitous doesn't make it right. You're not understanding what I'm saying. Just because something happens across a society does not make it correct.
But it
when
gets you better.
when slavery
That
was
gets you
happening, it was
better.
ubiquitous in society.
Hold on, y'all.
That doesn't mean that it was right.
Let me let Professor. Let me let Professor come in, and then YKTV, I got a question for you. But Professor's been waiting for a while, so let me let Professor come in. Go ahead.
So I'm an All-American athlete. I played soccer, and I threw for track. I am a classically trained instrumentalist. I made amazing grades. I'm now 40, and I am now at the point where I think that I'm like, I can say confidently that I'm pretty, but my first bully was my mom. And my mom, she swears up and down like she was trying to get me to be confident, just because like when I would go into new spaces, I was quiet. And the only reason why I was quiet was because I didn't know these people. So I wasn't going to just show who I am. I'm going to suss everybody out. But my mom allowed the bullies to get at me. And it wasn't until my mom saw the violent streak. So when I was in soccer, I was a goalie. I played goalie for like 20 years. And my nickname was called the Incredible Hulk because I was very, very smart and that sort of stuff. But when I would get angry, it was like stuff would get destroyed. I broke a girl's jaw in front of everybody in high school. I don't remember breaking that hoe's jaw. All I know is that she sat there and talked about my nappy hair and did that stuff because she went to the same church as I did and was, sitting here talking ish. And all I did, like my older sister said that I slammed her on the ground and like beat her until she was bloodied. I get that people want to say, oh, it's going to build you up. It's going to build you up. Y'all, that's an anger I never want to go back into. I don't think I don't get angry. Like, I get angry, but like, I know my level of anger. And I mean, my mom, like my whole family watched it. It was at a state title game. I almost got charges on me and that sort of stuff. And my mom had to go to the courts and be like, listen, I kind of pushed like that, like the parents had to go and be like, yo, they've known each other for years. And she's like, she started it. I think I understand that as an athlete, I understand how a coach is going to try to push you to do better. As a musician, I understand how a conductor is going to push me to be better. I know how I'm going to push myself how to do better, right? But when it gets to a point where it's like all these other folks who are saying all these things just to get me angry or just to get me, it doesn't work. I think people need to, like, if you're okay with if people are okay with chefs and bosses doing all that stuff to you, that's cool. I get to a new job. Let me be the first to put this out there. I literally let folks know I'm not the one or the two. Like, I will say something to you. I will go to HR. Like, don't give me a silly little nickname. It's either Tajuba or my first name, and that's it. Like, unless you've known me from before, you don't get to do all those things. So I think when we talk about bullying, because a lot of things that people are describing, they're saying it's bullying, but some of this stuff is hazing. And that's even more incredulous than anything.
Can I say something about that? The fact I'm a Zeta, so there have been other in not just the Zeta, but AKAs, Deltas, all of that. At this point we have a no bullying. Finer women don't haze, because there have been so many women that have been hazed that took their own lives. It was just too much. So bullying did not make me a better person. With my situation as a kid, I got every last one of those girls back in my own way. I got them back. And so then it made me kind of be a bully in a way. Like, cause I never wanted to go through that again. I was like 90 pounds soaking wet, but I was a teaser. I was the one that, after that. So it doesn't build you up. It just creates more bullies. And what you don't understand is a lot of the people that go and unalive people in schools, mass unalivers, you know why they do that a lot of times? Because they were bullied. They were treated not like they were crap, like they weren't human, or whatever the situation. If you were a good chef, you're going to be a good chef regardless if I say you're awesome or if I say you're full of shit. Excuse me. You're still going to be a good chef because you're a good chef.
Thank you,
I'm
Shauna.
going to be a good soldier. I'm going to be a good soldier, Smitty, because I'm a good soldier. You don't have to browbeat me to make me a better whatever it is. We have to stop that. That's why we have mental health issues. That's why we have bipolar and all of this kind of stuff, because people are mean. People are mean.
Does it get you better? That's my final. Does it get you better? Yes or no? That's all I need to know.
It didn't make me better. It made me violent. Like, that's the thing. I'm already my own worst critic. Like, I don't know if people use Gallup strengths, but in my top 5 competitions, I'm competitive in nature. Like, I've always been a competitive person. I've also have beat myself up if I don't do my expectations. So why on God's green earth? Now, after that situation with soccer, where my mom they had to put me in therapy, and then the therapist was like, okay, parents, like, you need to be in here. When my mom was like, oh, I just thought I was going to push you even harder. Ma'am, I've already had a goal in my head since I was 6. I'm closer to that goal than you think. You coming in here stomping on me is not going to help anything else. If anything, it's going to piss me off. And then my mom asked me.
Let me come in, y'all, real quick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Professor. Let me come in. I just want to make sure we get Margaret an opportunity and T-Sizzle an opportunity to come into the discussion. But if you're just joining us, please do all of the good things. Tap the screen, share out the live. This is a very important conversation that we're having about bullying. It can obviously, whether it be cyberbullying on the app, whether it be in school, whether it be you or your kids, at your job, wherever. Aisha talked about in colleges, universities, and the fraternity sorority system as well. So wherever it may be, but I just wanted to say again, happy that all of you are here participating in the discussion. I think it's very, very important to have it. Margaret, fam, go ahead. Feel free. What are your thoughts on this?
So much. So, hey, Soror, to Aisha. But I just want to say the same energy that it takes to tear someone down, and as it relates to you want to have something to say or you want to impart something to make someone better, you can use that same time to word whatever it is that wherever you want to see improvement in a way that encourages them, right? So for example, my son, he has been painting for ever since he was 3. And when I see his work, I tell him, I'm like, hey, this is excellent work. You know what I mean? I like the energy, the effort that you put into this. You need to make sure, pay attention to, the lessons that you get in this space. Honor the work that you've done because you deserve to get a good grade. Do the rest of, you know what I mean? He likes the art aspect. Then he has to write about it. I'm like, okay, for the art that you've done, put the energy into the writing piece as well so that you can get the fullness of all of the credit of things that you do. Or I could say that's not good enough, like my parents used to say. Or I could say, well, you could just, you get a C and you could live outside, like my parents used to say. And it's just like, you have an opportunity to grow and get better over time. There may have been some tapes that people imparted in you that make you, dig deep. Because again, I was in the military. You know what I mean? I understand that aspect of getting together someone, but there's a lot more tapes that I decided to hold on to, thankfully, because I was a martial artist before I was ever in the military. So I have better tapes to lean on. And I was able to figure out, when people really want to see you better, they pour into you. They don't pull out of you. They don't say things to tear you down. They don't have to tear you down to build you up. Your mama, daddy, grandparents, whoever, they set a foundation. From there, you can still go up. Wherever that foundation started, it's nobody's business, especially people that weren't in your household, to tear whatever it is down. And I just think that we just need to get really comfortable with not teaching one another how to suffer and not teaching one another how to, just endure. And these are the dues that you pay. And this is how you get through to the thing. We're all humans and worthy of love and respect. And if that's what we want, then it makes sense for us to give that out. And I think that because, especially I'm a millennial, especially my generation, I feel like we got hit with, a lot of mixed messaging, and it crosses a timeline where it was like you didn't get credit for anything. And then I want to say, as soon as we got out of school, it was like everybody gets credit for everything. And so that's an odd place to sit. But it shouldn't turn us into bullies. And I'm looking at the age ranges of the people for this last incident. I didn't know all of what happened with them because I tried to train my algorithm that Messy Talk is not the place for me. But for the age range of everybody that's involved, you can see the trauma in everybody's delivery. And I think that once we accept the fact that, like, hey, we've perpetuated this system, even social media itself, social media leans towards your deep dark. I just put one of my posts into Only I Can See It because it was getting rewarded when I'm like, I didn't even think that was a great story. You know what I mean? It was a little dark, and that's the one that blew up. And I'm like, I'd rather I see it than to sit up and perpetuate, well, this is what you need to do to get your engagement up. I don't know. I just feel like there's work that we need to do as a collective to promote more positivity. And I'm like, thank you.
Let me jump in. Thank you, Margaret. Yeah, listen, I was it was like a lot of things I wanted to say. You said it in a much better way. I think that, and this is going to be, to me, a hard part of this conversation. I'm talking to Black folks now. Maybe folks from other cultures can relate, but I'm talking specifically to Black people when I say this. Not everything we learned from our parents was good, and not everything that they learned was good. And some of the things that they learned were legacy holdovers from white supremacy. And we got to be able to deconstruct that from the standpoint of they were our parents and we love them, but at the same time, they learned some bullshit, basically. And so we got to take that and separate it from the very important, good life lessons that they taught us. Let me go to T-Sizzle. T-Sizzle, go ahead, fam. What are your thoughts, bro?
I was going to speak on the bullying, but what I want to speak to is all of your listeners. You guys aren't tapping the screen. If you guys like Smitty, the way you show appreciation is tapping the screen. I can look down here and you can see who's tapping and who isn't. Smitty will tell you he and I agree on probably 50% of the things that he talk about. But I make sure I come on his live and I tap. I make sure and give him at least 5 minutes of taps. Don't bully us into tapping. That's funny. But no, we need to be tapping. We really, because I go on other people's lives and I see how many taps they get, how many a rose, you guys, is a penny. It's a penny. If you were to give him 100 roses, that is major in TikTok lives. 1,000 taps and 100 roses goes super long way. This is what and other things, Smitty, you need to be on YouTube doing this. You need to be on Twitch doing this. You need to be on Kick doing this. You can do the simultaneous things or whatever. I'm pretty sure you got an old phone where you can have them all pointed at you. You need to be doing that too. But you guys, we need to be tapping and we need to be giving. It's a penny. If you were to buy him, I'm pretty sure all of us will buy him a cup of coffee. How much does a cup of coffee? McDonald's cup of coffee is what, $1.50 or $2 or whatever? That's 200 roses times 100 people. Come, that is major. That would put him up in the daily rankings and all of that. They would have everybody saying, did you hear what Smitty talked? Because this is a wonderful conversation. This is a great conversation. And we aren't tapping and we aren't giving roses. Even though I want to talk about the bullying, no, I'm talking about these taps to get this out here. We need to.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. No, T-Sizzle, man.
Okay.
No,
go ahead.
listen.
You can drop me, bro.
All right. No, I appreciate you, man. And listen,
All right.
I love what you said about, hey, yes, we maybe only agree on 50%, but at the end of the day, you know why I'm here and I know why you're here, man. And I appreciate you, bro. I really appreciate what you said, man. I really do.
You too. Salute, man.
Bro. Yeah,
Salute.
likewise, brother. All right, we're gonna let you down though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. But I appreciate that. But you know what's crazy? And then I want to go, Aisha, you go me next. You know what's crazy is again, some of us look like we really got it together. And thank y'all for all of the support. I really appreciate it. Thank you, my sister Ann, and everybody that's sent gifts. And please send the gifts to the panelists and tap the screen, as T-Sizzle said. But I tell you, sometimes I struggle from a lack of confidence. Sometimes I struggle from some of the things that happened to me as a child, again, that were the result of my parents and other folks and elders around me that made mistakes. And so when y'all say, yeah, Smitty, yeah, you should do this and do that, sometimes it's like, I don't know. Like, I struggle from it too. And so, everybody that you see on the screen don't mean that they always have it together. But with that being said, let me go to Aisha. Go ahead, fam. Aisha, you're on mute.
I had myself on mute. So here we go. I've never seen you in person in my life, but I won't let anybody come over here and talk crazy to you. You know how my mouth is my mouth. And so if anybody comes over here and talks crazy to you, did you see how that man just took up for you and said that you're phenomenal. But suppose you were like RZA and you had a serious, and you've had people say nasty things to you on here, because I just cussed somebody out for saying something to you. However, suppose you were RZA and I came on here, instead of doing what this young man just did, I came on here and just said, you're a loser, you're this, you're sorry. And if you already have low self-esteem, that's going to affect you. I don't think that girl even had any friends outside of these people who were online. And she actually she flew to meet some of these people. Like, she met them. And they weren't acting like that, but what they were doing was they were using her for her money. And I understand, because I was a people pleaser. I was. I try because I wanted love. I wanted people to love me, and that's all that's about. And I do believe it's from it being enslaved. Our ancestors were bullied. They were bullied to death. Some of them. So that came from our foremothers are telling us whose parent pushes them, but you're pushing them by calling them a loser. I remember this. I'm gonna land my plane here. This boy, he won second place, and his father said, "You're a second loser. You got second as a loser. You're a loser. You just made second." How do you think that made him feel? Bullying does not help you become great. You're great because you're great. I'm gonna land my plane.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Wakey. Go ahead.
Does anybody have like a son? Like anybody? Like, I mean, any of y'all have a son?
I don't have
Yeah.
a son. I have nephews. And
Okay. How just age?
How old are
age?
they?
Yeah, just age.
They're 14 and 12.
Okay, that's perfect.
I have
Um,
nephews too.
Okay, nephew, son, somewhere they need to be somewhere in elementary, high school. It don't matter. But my more of the story, y'all talk about cyberbullying. I would assume they have a game, some Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. And you probably heard them. If you haven't heard them, I'll tell you. They cuss on the game 24/7.
Oh,
I know
no.
this.
Oh,
I
I've
know
had
this because
to.
I know this because I'm 22 years old. Trust me. I'm real young. So I mean, so would you call that bullying? I mean, because they talk crap all day
But
with friends or
Hang on,
whatever.
hang on.
No,
Let me.
you're conflating the wrong things, though. You're acting like two people cursing and like
No,
banding
but they're
about or
talking
whatever
bad about
is
each other. Them people on the game, they talk about
again.
somebody's mother. They
That's
be like, your mother this, your
again.
mother that.
Can I finish? That's different than bullying, though. And you're acting like you're conflating the two things and trying to pretend like we don't know differences. Not for nothing. I've been online since I was 10. I've been gaming and doing all those things for the last 35 years. I am not brand new to the internet. I'm not some soft little cupcake. The problem, though, is that you are conflating toxic activity with just regular stuff. You're 22 years
But
old.
okay, so
Just
how does
let
that
me
make
let me
sense? I'm not understanding because
let me explain it so it can make some sense to you. What I'm saying is that just because you have an experience does not mean that that experience is the way that things should be. I was raised by a man who literally told me I was never going to amount to anything because I was watching House of Style one time. This man looked at me in my face when I was 13, 14 years old and said I was going to not amount to anything and end up married to a coal miner. He is a person who thought, oh, if I talk down to my daughters, then that will make them push harder. You know what that did to me? It gave me complex PTSD and it ruined my freaking life. It made me a people pleaser. It made me spend 20 years trying to get the approval of somebody who would never approve of me. And I ended up now at 45 years old trying to figure out how to restart my life after I spent 25 years taking care of my parents who treated me like garbage. They did not treat me well. So don't tell people that they have to, oh, well, that person's just saying that because they love you. No, that's not love. Love is building people up. Love is telling people what they can do. Love is trying to make people see the best in themselves. It's not telling people that they're never going to amount to anything and that they're losers and that they're jerks. That's not going to make me rise above. That's going to make me break down. And that to act like just because they're boys, they don't have that the lie is that boys don't cry. And say again, you don't know everything. And sorry, you have been habituated to toxic environments. Just because you have been habituated to a toxic environment does not mean that's where you belong. There is a better way. You don't have to live in a world where people are just constantly talking down to you. And that's not something that's going to build you up in the long term.
Let me.
Can I respond to him too?
Real quick, actually, family, if you don't mind, let me let Professor come in, and then yeah, I think this is a good dialogue though. But let me let Professor come in and Aisha, absolutely, and then we'll pop up to DV and Margaret.
Professor, it's something I want to ask you too, because you did say something. Because you said something about it was a job. You was like, Go ahead,
Yeah,
Professor.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Let me just let Professor get her comment in, and then feel free. You can ask me whatever you like. Let me
Okay,
let Professor
so
come in.
my thing with my nephews is that I think my nephew was in preschool and I was in grad school in California, and he was getting bullied by some of his so-called friends. And I remember flying in for like my sisters flying me in where they were living, and them explaining to me because I was on a red eye flight and wired. And they basically was just explaining everything. And they was like, hey, you're the last kind of like call. And the only reason why they called me was because I'm the educator of the family. I'm the only one that has worked in K through 12 and I work in higher ed. And so at that moment, they were just like, we need you to use your expertise to, fix this situation. When I got there, it was it was such a really bad situation where I kind of looked at my nephew and I remember he was starting to cry, and I remember my mom telling him like, yo, don't cry. And I was like, nah, cry, get it out. No, 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 no. When you're around me, you are allowed to cry. You can't throw a tantrum, but you can cry and that sort of stuff. And that nephew's now is 14, and he has always said, he's like, I always think back to that day where you told me, listen, you looked me dead in my eyes and said, you can cry as much as you need to. If you need to go outside and cry with me, we can go outside and stop this meeting and that sort of stuff. They can wait. And we did. And they waited. So my nephews, when they did get to that point where they were bullying, the 14-year-old had a bullying streak and that sort of stuff. When I found out about it, I think my reaction, because I like started crying and stuff, and he was just like, I feel like I broke your heart. And I was like, you did, because you know better. And he's taken the steps to not be a bully. Does he mess up? Yeah, he's not perfect, but who is? He's 14 also. So it's just like, yo, you're going to mess up, but own up to it, do what you need to do, and keep it moving. You said you had a second question for me, so I would like to hear what this question is.
I had a comment because he asked about boys. So I just wanted to say I have two boys, and I have 19 grandchildren, and I only have 4 girls in that family. So I have actually literally have 19 grandchildren, 5 children, and 2 of them are boys. And unfortunately, I was a mother that was like, stop being a little punk, or man up, or what you crying for? You acting like a little girl. Because people don't understand that Black women, when they were enslaved, they had to do that to their sons. They had to say, okay, man up, stop being a little, because they knew that their lives could depend on it. So that's where that comes from. It comes from slavery. And my sons, now that they're adults, they don't cry. They they have to, kind of man up. And that's so unfair to them. So now my grandsons, if they want to cry, it's hard. It's still hard. But if they want to cry, let them cry. Because boys are boys. The boys are human.
Yeah.
It's okay for a girl to cry, but it's not okay for a boy to cry. You get stung by a bee, and I'm sitting up here talking about, hey, you need to man up, bruh. What you crying for? Stop acting like a little girl. That comes from slavery.
Yeah. That's why, if you guys remember the movie Glory, that scene where Denzel Washington is getting whooped and you see the tears kind of running down his face. That's why that scene is, to me, one of the most incredibly powerful scenes that I've ever seen. YKTV, go ahead. I know you want to ask a couple questions, probably had a comment, and then I want to go to Margaret, and then I'm just Stevie.
Professor, you had said something earlier. You said something about if that person knows you, because you said something about this person can't make fun of me. But you said if I know you, then it's something different. Because you said something about like make like little name jokes or whatever. I remember you said, I don't know quote for quote.
No, I said that person in that situation where I broke my opponent's jaw.
Not that one.
My mom and her mom.
Not that one, Professor. You were saying something about a job, because we were talking about jobs at the time.
And no, even at a job. So like when I start a new position,
yeah,
because, and I'll say it like this, I don't mind saying what institutions I worked at because I don't care. When I worked at Penn State University, at the time, the head football coach was James Franklin. And James Franklin had knew me from my undergrad days at Kansas State University. And he knows me from a completely different name. He knows me by my nickname. And he calls me by my nickname. And it's always been like that. I remember when he came to talk to my department about that stuff, and he said my nickname in front of everyone, and people were like, "Can I call you by your nickname?" No, you cannot. You can call me by Tajuba or my first name. But Coach Franklin and I have known each other in that sense. And that was something where I think, and I mean, I can expound on it a little bit, but I had a colleague who tried to bully her way into being able to say like, "Oh, I can be comfortable. I can call you any name that you want." I remember at one point I said at a meeting, I was like, "Ho, is you serious? Like, you think that I won't cuss you out in front of these people and still keep my job? I will. Like, you don't know what I do behind the scenes." And that's the thing that I've had to like, and that's me coming from a place in education, because I'll be the first to say this. Every weekend, as a lot of us who I can assume most of us are Black and Black Americans here. But I can say straight up that we all have had those conversations where we have entered into in some of these very white spaces, and people will sit here and give you a nickname that you didn't want them to have.
Okay, so let me ask you this: if you move to, we'll say, Alabama, big school Alabama, you moved there first, and then Coach moved with you, and then he'll still call you that nickname, would that be considered bullying? I mean, even though he already
it's
knows
not
you.
bullying, because we've already known each other. Like, I don't like, Coach Franklin and I have had a relationship since I was a teenager. So us knowing each other, I've known him, I'm 40. I've known him for nearly 30 years. I've always had that. My K through 12 students still call me Miss Tajuba. It's okay. But if I tell you this is how I want to be addressed, please address me by that. If you want to delineate from that, then I'm going to say straight up, that's disrespectful, but I'm not going to necessarily call it bullying, because at this point, I'm not going to talk to you about that. I think people want to say that everything is bullying and that sort of stuff, and don't want to define what is bullying and everything else. I'm be the first to put this out there. If I tell you, you call me by whatever name I tell you to call, then that's that. I wouldn't call you like Smitty. I'm not going to call Smitty some other name that he says that's not cool. Or
Unless
even Renee.
But yes, you're just saying, yeah, unless you know him, like truly know him, no. Unless you like his homeboy or homegirl or something like that, right? Is that what you're trying to say? But I'm asking, is that what you're trying to say?
It's not even that we were home. Like, when I was an undergrad, I went by a different name. Are you not picking up what I'm putting down?
Not at all, teacher. You got to teach me. I'm sorry.
So real quick, y'all. Can we just come back to this?
Yeah. Can we? Like, I feel like we're diverting, but yeah.
Yeah. Let me let Margaret can get another comment in, and I'm just DV, and then where I want to take the conversation to, for the last hour, if we can, is talk more so about bullying and in corporate America, and especially as it relates to Black women being bullied, and Black women being games that folks play. If y'all don't mind, I would like to take the conversation there. But let me let Margaret and I'm just DV get another comment before we do that.
I want to speak on that, but I was gonna say, talking about,
you can if you want. You can if you want to start it off. We can start it off now.
I mean, so if y'all don't mind, so part of the reason that my name is Margaret Ellen on most platforms is because I make people say my whole name, right? Like, kind of back to what Professor was talking about. However I teach you that I would prefer to be addressed, that's your order for me. Like, you know what I mean? In terms of, if you want to show respect to me, then you call me by the name that I presented to you, whatever that may have been at whatever point in time in life that we met. And I feel like, especially in the workplace, one of the first questions, especially as the new person, "Oh, do you go by something else?" Absolutely not. I don't. This is my name. If you don't want to say all of Margaret Ellen, you don't necessarily have to, but you're going to definitely say Margaret. There's a very select few people that have other names that they have an opportunity to call me, but the reaching back to, the kids and
Miss
bullying and stuff like
Margaret,
that.
how about if they can't pronounce your name? How about that part? Then would you
What did
tell
you
them
just
like a
say?
nickname? I was saying, how about if they cannot pronounce your name? Would you?
People in this country know how to say Daenerys Targaryen with no and spell it perfectly. They can learn how to say Margaret Ellen.
100%. And also, my name's one of the oldest names in the world. So if they present that they have a difficulty pronouncing Margaret, I know they're lying, and I know that it's not just a microaggression; it's intentional disrespect, and I'm gonna meet it in kind. Because I think that we teach one another how to dehumanize ourselves to fit into particular spaces. And I feel like the sooner that we show up and support one another, just like how Professor was like, no, they say this, they can say that. The more we show up for one another in that way, the less we'll see those microaggressions and those macroaggressions in the workplace that turn into bullying. I made a rule for myself. I only get one go off in a particular corporate space. And so I would hold what I had to say and I wouldn't go off until it was like, you know what? This is what I'm going to say. And I had to evolve out of that because I'm like, wait, I'm going to internalize all of this stuff? Absolutely not. I'm going to learn how to speak up for myself in a way that matches my profession, but also lets people know exactly how to respect me. So I don't know. That's all I'm going to say.
Say something, Smitty, real fast, about something that you said earlier. So, Dr. Candia Bailey, she was the vice president of student affairs at Lincoln University, and she unalived herself due to bullying. The president of the university, who, by the way, was a YT man, bullied this woman to unalive herself.
Wait,
Now,
Dr. Bailey?
he was reinstated. They said that she says before her death, Dr. Bailey sent a detailed email to the university leadership and friends alleging she had been subjected to bullying and severe mistreatment. Now, they investigated this, and they said that the university board hired a third party law firm to investigate, and come to find out, they're saying that didn't happen, and he was reinstated. So again, Black women, and it said it was severe criticism of that. Black women are not believed. Here we go again, bullied by an administrator, and nothing happens. Nothing
Real,
happens. So that
can
that goes
Oh,
back to
real,
what
real,
I
real quick,
think
y'all. Let
someone
me.
said. Now, I'm a teacher. I'm also a teacher. And so I have to deal with bullying with, my students. People bully my students, and that's something that I do not tolerate or play in my classroom.
Absolutely. Let me go to I'm just DV, Callie, and then Real Mom. Garden Plus, good to see you, fam. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Please continue to do all of the good things. Very important discussion. And again, I do want to take this conversation for the next 45 minutes to bullying and mistreatment of Black women in the workplace in corporate America. Obviously, if you really want to talk about something else, of course, but that's kind of where for the last 45 minutes I want to take the live to. Go ahead, fam. Welcome.
Hey, Smitty, it's Debbie. It's
Debbie.
me. It's
Hey,
Debbie. I'm on my
okay.
backup account.
I
Hi,
thought it was you, but I
Smitty.
was like, okay. Good to see you,
Hey,
fam.
Smitty. Hi, panel. Hey, chat. I'm so glad I'm so glad to see this conversation is being had, like 100%, because I'm a social worker. I just officially moved from Cincy, Ohio to North Carolina. I got a full-time job offer here, and I work in a hospital. And I want to talk about, the bullying in the workplace, because I'm experiencing that right now by two white tea women. And I have and when I say this, because I'm technically still new, I'm not new, but I started their PRN in May because I used to travel as a social worker. And then I got the offer in September. So long story short, These two white tea women, they've been here longer than me, like they're little favorites, you know, to the higher ups or whatnot. But basically what I've been experiencing on the weekends that I work is that the has people like looking at my documentation, reporting back to her about me. She's not my supervisor at all. She's just like a nurse case manager, but she's been on the weekends or who, you know, is there to assist, right? So I have continued to get these emails, secure chats, and things like that because one of her besties is back working on the weekends. And it got me out of character, which I have worked really, really hard not to do because of I have been looked at as an aggressive, you know, Black woman, right? When we express how we're feeling and things like that, we looked at as a being aggressive Black woman in the workplace, right? And I put her in her place as nice as possible. But I also addressed this matter multiple times with my supervisor, who is also white tea and a social worker. And I feel like this time she has heard me. And this past Sunday, I sent a lengthy email to my supervisor because of the constant things that continues to happen. And I really hope that is addressed. And because it is really affecting me mentally and emotionally, because I've been through a lot as a Black woman in the social work field. Again, I have been looked at as an aggressive Black woman when I stand up for myself and speak up for myself. There's been times when I had to like really tone myself down because of the fear of retaliation or losing my job, because that has happened. But yeah, the bullying in the workplace is real. And it really has taken a toll on me mentally because I'm still in this transition in a new city, you know, new people, new surroundings, right? And I'm still growing, you know, as a person and as a social worker. But at this point, moving forward, I will continue to like CYA and cover my ass because these are the two type of individuals that will try to get you fired or get you in trouble, right? And I want to kind of go back really quick and then I'm going to land because I know other people want to talk. I was bullied. I was a people pleaser my whole life, my whole life. Friends, family, my parents. I have two toxic parents, a mother and a father. I'm currently on no contact with my mom, who has been my best friend my whole life. But as Renee has stated, the things that my parents, including my father and my mother, have stated to me, it does affect you. It does affect you as you get older. And it still sits with me. I'm in therapy. I've been in therapy for years, and it still affects me to this day. The things that I was told, the things I've been called about, like my weight and things like that from both parents and my mom, especially my mom, that sticks with you. It does. And that's part of the reason why I became a social worker, is because of my life experiences that I grew up around, just to try to make a difference, you know, in the community, or just, you know, period. But I'm so glad to see this topic because I've been thinking about the bullying my whole life because I've been through it, and it sucks and it sticks with you. And I just started back talking to my dad, but it's kind of like I'm on the fence, you know what I mean? Because I've been treated differently my whole life. But yeah, it really sticks with you and it sucks. And I've been a people pleaser. I have tried to please my mom my whole life. I've taken care of my mom, you know, when she was sick. I've done it all, even with friends. It finally took me to travel and get out of Cincy, Ohio, to kind of really find myself and find my voice. And I just turned 40 in June, Smitty. And I finally started speaking up and sticking up for myself, like in my late 30s, because I've allowed people to walk over me, rather it's friends or parents or anybody, even in the workplace. And I've set boundaries with people. So now that I've done that. I found my voice. Now it's like, I'm doing something wrong. Like, I'm turning my back against my parents or my mom or whatever. Like, I finally walked away from friendships, many that I had since college or high school because I couldn't take it anymore, But I'm going to land my plane. But I'm so glad to see this topic. You know what I mean? This is like so needed, you know what I mean, right now in this climate. But I'm going to go on mute. But thank you, Smitty.
Of course, fam. Of course. Thank you. Hey, Wacky TV, I'm gonna drop you. There's another person I want to get up before I go, but thank you for coming up, man. Thank you for coming
Yeah,
up.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
appreciate you, bro. All right, so
You too.
we're gonna go to Callie and then Real Mom, and then we can go to Renee. So Callie, Real Mom, and then Renee. Yeah, go ahead, Callie. How are you, fam? Good to see you up here.
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good. What would you like to share with us today?
Wow. Okay, so the bullying in the workplace is so real. And I've gone through this a couple of times in my career, but the most recent was in 2020. Really, it started in 2019 all the way to 2021. And when I say the trauma was so real, and it was so bad, once again, it was white women in the workplace. Y'all are never beating the allegations for me. I'm so sorry. White women have been my biggest ops. And the craziest part about all of it was that I was being bullied all the time. There was always some sort of disagreeable situation. All of my outcomes were good. I had the highest employee retention. I had the highest employee satisfaction in my department. So much so that corporate people were asking, what are you doing differently? I actually give a shit about my people when they call me. I made sure that people were cross-trained. I made sure that, people were partnered up and learned from each other, right? But I did a lot of things, held a lot of meetings, trying to cultivate, an actual team environment, not trying to force people to like each other, but cultivate a team environment, figure out what we can learn from each other. And, doing these things very intentionally to make sure that we did have people that could be elevated into roles, inline promotions and stuff like that. So when someone moves on to a better, position, because I'm not trying to hold anyone hostage, we have people there that are already trained up and ready to step into that position, right? And that we always have coverage. So if somebody's sick, somebody goes through something, whatever, we always have coverage. We are always able to take care of each other. That's just something simple, right? That's something simple everybody should do. But that was something that was not happening in other departments, right? So what we saw in my department was a lot of people trying to leave other departments to come to my department. And I really feel like that sowed animosity or something, but I ended up having to take on the roles from other teams and other departments that are literally in policy. This is your job, right? As the director or AVP or vice president of X, this is what y'all do. Tell me how the hell I just started absorbing multiple, functions from other areas. I also was the only executive leader who had to run 2 states versus 1. Every other executive, and not only that, but had to run 2 states without the additional staffing for it. So even when we did staffing measurements to determine where everybody was, I was understaffed. Documented. I didn't do that study. They did the study, right? The corporate team did the study, and I was understaffed. So no matter how much was going on and how underwater I eventually became, we were still keeping afloat, right? And it was almost like they were doing things intentionally to sabotage my department. And I'll land with this. I know that it had to do with my blackness because I was told not to hire any more black people. To my face.
Wow.
Right? Comments about my hair was made. I know it had to do with my blackness because the people that were saying was correct. Meanwhile, all of my outcomes were great. all of the data from the time that I was there, you know, the process improvements that needed to be made were made, babes. So my team was very successful, and still they tore it down.
Damn. Whew. Hola, Chapo, ¿cómo estás? Well, I'm telling you, listen, this is why I want to have this discussion today, and I'm hoping folks in the comments are taking this in, folks on the panel, obviously, sharing their experiences. I'm always touched when, whether it be somebody like Callie that I've known for a long time or somebody that I haven't known as long, to come up and share this information. It's so powerful. But if you don't believe that there is an epidemic of mistreatment and bullying against Black women in corporate America, I don't know what to tell you. I guarantee you, by the time you leave, you might be convinced if you're not already. It is absolutely out of control. And as an executive, I have seen it. And, you know, it's something that I talk about any chance I get because it is out of control. Let me go to Real Mom, and then we'll go to Renee, and then we'll bring in Casey as well. Real Mom, how are you, fam? Good to see you up here, by the way.
Hey, Smitty, how you doing?
Good. What are your thoughts on this?
So I wasn't bullied in like a corporate job setting, but I was bartending at a club, and we all we shared tips after a huge incident of me making more money than my coworkers. So they went to our boss and decided that since I'm getting all the customers or whatever, taking care of more tabs, then it's just unfair and we need to split. So we've literally had a whole meeting about me being selfish, and I don't know. It was like a whole big thing. Like I was just being attacked, and like everyone wanted to intimidate me and make me feel like I was wrong for performing well, you know, and just rub me wrong. But I also, I know my work, I know how I perform. And I should people make me feel like you know. But what really had me interested in this topic was I have 3 boys and I have a niece, okay, and they're all under 8 years old. My niece has this sassy, smart mouth, and I started to hear her talk mean about people. Like she would say this fat girl in my class or the ugly boy with glasses. And she would just say these mean things. And I'm like, where are you learning this? Like, where is this coming from? Because we don't speak like that. And one day I heard her say something. I said, do you like people to say mean things about you? You know, she had just lost her first tooth in the front. So I said, what if somebody came to you and was calling you toothless and stuff like that and being mean? And it upset her. It made her cry. And I'm like, yeah, if you're going to be a bully, somebody's going to be able to bully you back. And it stuck with me that no person is incapable of being bullied. But it's also important for the bully to understand what they say hurts and affects other people. So I guess I call that me bullying her and just teaching her a lesson. Like that was her perspective, that I was being her bully by telling her, how would you feel if somebody said this to you? You know? And I think that it was a valuable lesson that she needed to learn, that she's not above being bullied, but she also doesn't, you know what I'm saying, to learn that you can't bully people. What if somebody bullies you? And it did make me feel bad. But since then, I have not heard her say a mean thing about anyone. She'll tell my mom, don't say anything mean, Grandma, because you can get bullied too, you know. And it was a good conversation. I think the children. I'm sorry. You guys go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Real Mom.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Maybe?
Oh, let me just bring in Renee real quick, and then I got you.
Okay.
If you don't mind, fam. Yeah. Let me just bring in Renee. Go ahead, Renee.
Yeah, so I definitely have like a lot of experience getting bullied on the workplace, from corporate America to restaurants. Part of it also is, did you know that like if you have ADHD, you're much more likely to be harassed on the workplace, or autism, like especially if you're undiagnosed, you're much more likely to be harassed in the workplace. But anyway, Smitty, don't forget to turn off your mic. My like one of my last restaurant jobs was working under a black head chef and his wife who was from Argentina. And when I say that that was one of the most anti-black, especially anti-black woman environments I ever worked in, like this man literally sat me down when he fired me and like berated me for an hour or two and was like, he used to follow me around and yell at me for no reason. His wife would follow me and stare at me while she said, I don't need any more black things in my life, while she was married to a black man and had 3 black children. So it's no joke in this world. And like, I literally have trauma just from the workplace because of the level and variation of the amount of abuse I've dealt with on the job. Like, it's no joke, and it's real talk, like this stuff actually happens. And this is a really important conversation because especially as black women, we don't get heard when we talk about this stuff, and we don't get believed when we talk about this stuff. So I think that more people need to recognize that, like, yes, there is a difference, and it's not because we're just, blowing things out of proportion, or that we just don't know how to handle ourselves in the workplace. Black women have to work 3 times harder than everybody to get treated half as good as everybody, So
Can I say something? And I didn't see Casey in the chat. Hey Casey, hey baby. Can you hear me? Okay. As a teacher for 23 years, I can say I'll say a majority of my experience has been being bullied by white T women. And it's not that I don't say stuff back, because I do, but your principal is not going to believe you because all they have to do is cry. That's it. And then once they go in the office and cry, then you're the one that's doing the bullying. I'm just standing up for myself.
You
But
just said a word, sister. That is truth.
then it's turned around that I am the bully. That I have a thing now. I'm home, but I have a little thing now. This lady went to HR on me. Now we had a meeting with me and our direct supervisor, but because she's Latina and I'm black, and she feels like that she took my side. She went to human resources, and in the little thing it says that I was aggressive towards her. I was aggressive, and I was something else she said. What is aggression? What do you mean I was aggressive? Because you honestly can't teach and I can, and I'm helping the kids and you're not, and they don't like you and they like me, and that's all they have to do. And then they'll go right to human resources and say you were doing something to them. And 9 times out of 9, human resources is going to side with them. Trust that.
I think
Real quick, Professor. Let me bring Casey in, and I'm gonna come to you next. It is your turn, but I just want to get Casey to get an opening comment. But let me tell you, you guys are hitting on exactly like everything I've heard. It's like you guys are saying it. I don't even have to like bring in hypothetical situations because sadly, right, it's tragic. Sadly, you have real life situations that are exactly the through line to what this is exactly what I've heard. Casey fam, go ahead and we'll go to Professor.
Hello, everybody. All right, so I'm gonna give you my I've had it done to me twice, right? The first time I used to work for account services. Actually, no, let me start with the real one. The one that really pissed me off, that made me look at things very different. I used to work in corporate America. I'm not gonna say exactly what company, but it had to do with finance. And in these type of jobs, obviously you have to wear a suit and skirts and in a professional manner, right? I, as a woman of color, I can't change the way that my body is, right? I've always been more bottom heavy, especially after I had my daughter. And this is when I was 22 years old. So this is like me being in my prime. So this is over 10 years ago. I used to work my ass off, sometimes even coming in on Saturdays to get ahead in this company. And the women that were there, which was, I would say 95% of the women that worked there, they were white women. And you had maybe 2 Latinas and 2 Black women. And it got to a point where I was able to show the work that I did, and I got a promotion, right? So there was this Greek and Italian woman that decided to go around the office. Mind you, everybody working at this office, for the most part, they're all, I would say 50% of them are lawyers. Everybody's in their 30s and their 40s. I was probably one of the youngest people there. They decided to move around and tell people that I went and got lip fillers and that I would dress provocatively. Mind you, I dressed exactly like them. I didn't dress any differently. I'm just shaped different. These lips, these came naturally, right? And they went around the office telling people that I seduced the boss and that I even slept with the boss. It got that bad. 2 women in their 40s decided to spread these horrible fake rumors about me because of the way that I look. And that was on their tongue I heard it for weeks, until one time that it was like a office party. But normally, like after work, people go to the bar. I confronted one of these women and I said that I know for a fact that they were spreading these lies about me. She went to the boss the next, to one of the other women managers the next day, and said that I was provoking men in the office space. And that eventually led to me losing my job. That happened just because of my body shape and the fact that these white women were shaped like SpongeBob SquarePants. And and if you notice, that happens a lot to women, specifically women of color. If they look a certain type of way, the women will be jealous. But these are the same women that will take their asses to another country and get surgery and go get lip fillers like Carolyn Levitt. But then they judge you when you come with that package naturally.
Hey, let me go to Professor. Professor, I gotta let you go after your next comment, but
Okay.
feel free, final comment, Professor, to say whatever you would like.
So my biggest thing that I will say is I think a lot of the people who tend to bully in the workplace, especially like white women, it comes off of jealousy, especially like coming from the education space, in which Aisha bringing up Dr. Bailey's, the incident with what happened with Dr. Bailey's even is crazy, because I remember how impacted the Black higher ed community was. But I do remember one time in my first year at Penn State with my first bully and my only bully at Penn State, because after that, no one bullied me anymore. No one tried to bully me. I think everyone tried to come and use what I got because they saw how much capital I had. But this white woman, she didn't like me because I didn't want to be her friend at the beginning. I just wanted to come in, learn the stuff. Penn State's huge. I just wanted to get my bearings. And we were sitting down doing this meeting, and we were doing this kind of activity as a team. And during her time where she was presenting something about herself, I really wasn't paying attention just because I had to do something for the senior level people. And so while I was doing doing my activity that I had been asked by the VPs and presidents of the university real quick, she's sitting here staring at me and making these kind of threats. And I kind of tuned her out, but she was in front of our supervisor. And so I finally, once I started paying attention and I started noticing, I was like, oh, she's talking about me. I was like, I'm not going to say anything because I had already been documenting everything to basically kind of just present something. I had been talking to an attorney and doing that stuff. So I've been like documenting everything. And so I went off, and once it got to me, I finally said something where I was just like, she was just, she interrupted me during my presentation. She said something really rude. But the biggest thing that she also did was she knew how I felt about my name. My first name is Letitia, and is Letitia Tajiba. And she called me Letitia, and I absolutely do not like I said earlier in this conversation, if I tell you how to say my name, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I will stop you and correct you. But I just kind of looked at her and did my thing. And I finally responded, but because I knew that there were senior level people who were seeing her behavior and they looked appalled, my senior director of the department kind of gave me a nod and was like, and he lipped like, go after her, like just say what you need to say. And so I finally killed it with humor by saying, something to a point where it's like, I don't go to sleep at night thinking about y'all. But I said I don't go to sleep thinking about you motherfuckers. And it was time for us to go home. So as soon as that was done, everyone kind of started laughing and we all kind of left. The next day, my supervisor called me in and we were talking about it. And he said, way to play that out because it showed that you weren't the bully and that she was the one bullying you. And after that, no one messed with me in my department. Like I was able to move freely from that. But she would try to do something and I would be like, listen, I still turned in the stuff to HR, just kind of saying straight up, like, this is what this woman has been doing. But like, I didn't get really depressed about it just because I was like, you're really not anything. You're just a weird woman with string bean hair. Like nobody cares. And I remember having to say that quite a bit. So I've always said to folks, like, document as much as you can. When you are writing your emails to people, write it in the third person so you can take the emotion out, stick with the facts. And then once you have all that information in and you send it to HR and to your leaders, that's when they know, like, okay, like, here's everything I did, here's everything I said, here's everything that I admit that I did. And I called it a day. And she eventually lost her job, but at that point, I really didn't care because I had already established who I was and my kind of queendom in that department.
But I think sometimes though, in one of my situations where I was being mistreated, I had my grandson. I lost my grandson. My grandson transitioned, and so that was a lot of stress. I had a lot going on, and then when you have to come to work and be bullied on top of all of that other extra stuff, it's a lot. That's a lot, and we and if you ever read Zora Neale Hurston's book, Their Eyes Were Watching God, she says Black women are the mules of the race.
Yeah.
That we're the mules, that we can withstand everything until we're like RZA and we're swinging from a ceiling fan, because we're always looked at as being so strong. Whoa. And it's not true. We're human just like anybody else.
Yeah. Hold on. Go ahead, Callie, real quick, and then I want to let
Can we be a little more? Can we be a little bit more thoughtful about one, her name is Rizzy. Two, I don't think we should be depicting that for an audience of people that we don't know what people's experiences are with this specific type of tragedy. Like, we need to be very careful about and be respectful of that girl's experience or that woman's experience.
Yeah, I'm the one that told Smitty to do this whole thing,
and that's great.
I reached out to him. I reached out to him, and I told him
that's great. But that reference to the
I wasn't being disrespectful. That reference, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, that reference was unnecessary to this.
What are you talking about? Which one?
You know what? Okay, sure, lady, whatever.
Smitty, thank you for
just
having
don't like me, so you just had to come and say something, and that's bullying. See what she's doing right now?
It's not bullying.
What she's doing right now,
that is bullying. To ask you to be respectful.
And I know that because that was something.
Okay.
It's not
Okay.
bullying to ask you to be respectful to people who might be sensitive to that specific topic. That is not bullying. And in fact, I said we all need to be careful about how we navigate this conversation. That reference point to how she ended up leaving this world was
Somebody's turning off
unnecessary.
my mic.
Yeah, I did turn off your mic because you're
You're
not
a
going
bully,
to
ma'am.
mischaracterize what I said.
You're bullying me right now.
You're not being bullied. You're just
Yes,
you're
I
being
am.
you're being a child.
Anyway, this
Okay.
is about
Okay. Can we
RZA.
stop? Can we stop, please?
Her name is Rizzy, not RZA.
Stop me. Smitty, she keeps muting my mic. This is what I consider bullying. This lady doesn't like me. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
I don't like you, but this is not about me not liking you.
But I'm the one who is the one that, and you keep shutting off my mic. That's what it means. You're silencing me. That's
Okay,
bullying.
Aisha, 1 second. Let Smitty talk, and then we can.
You're
I'm sorry.
silencing me. That's
Okay.
We're not
bullying.
silencing
real quick,
you. We want to hear you, but let Smitty come in, and then
Anyway, Smitty, this
we'll
is
move
about
that.
RZA. This is not about me or her. I want to stick to the bullying.
Let me say something, you guys.
I want to stick to the bullying thing. I said what I said about
Aisha, 1 second, please.
Casey. Can somebody tell her to?
Okay. Hold on, y'all. Can I say something, please? Please. Okay. Let me just talk, and then I want to let Debbie come in, and then Ann come in, and then I do got to run, you guys. But please, this is a very important discussion. Okay. I've known both you, Aisha, and you, Callie, for a long time. I believe Callie's intention was just to, in a general way, make sure that we're talking about things so that folks that may have had similar experiences don't have trauma related to those similar experiences. Obviously, there's a personal thing I'm not going to get into, but I think that was the intention. Okay. And so I know, and again, Aisha, you know how I feel about you and the fact that you brought this topic to have the conversation too. Please, let's not end this live like this. It would break my heart. We had this live.
I wasn't.
Okay.
Nobody was arguing with each other. Nobody. We were very respectful.
Okay.
So I want to stay with that, Smitty. Smitty, I would like to stay with that, but what I don't want to happen is every time I say something, my mic is turned off. I consider that bullying because I have a voice.
I got you.
I have a voice.
No, of course. The reason that was happening though is I was trying to come in and interject and just say, right, and make sure that we kind of clear this up, because I don't want folks to have this experience. But Callie wasn't bullying. She was trying to protect folks that again may have trauma.
I'm telling you how I felt.
I know. I got you. I hear you.
I know it doesn't matter. I understand what you're saying, but I'm telling you how I felt, because I wasn't saying anything negative. I was just talking about my experience losing my grandson, having a lot of stress, and coming to work and being bullied. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No. Your feelings are your feelings, fam. Your feelings are your feelings.
If I feel like somebody was bullying me, by cutting off my voice, then for me, that's bullying. Don't, you know what I mean? So
I'm not going to listen to too much more of me being characterized as a bully for trying to protect people.
That I'm not being bullied and what her intentions were.
You're not going to continue to characterize me as a bully for trying to protect the people in this live. I generally said,
okay, I'm done with this because this is going in a whole different direction. I want to get back to talking about what happened to RZA and what happens to Black women. I'm done with this conversation.
Her name is Rizzy.
Her name is
Rizzy.
Look, I generally said we need to be careful how we navigate this so that we don't trigger other people. Making that reference to the fan was not necessary. That's all I said.
I'm triggered. I'm triggered.
Good. Okay, whatever, lady.
Stop cutting off my mic and saying whatever, lady.
And the other thing is the lady's name is Rizzy. It is not RZA.
Smitty, I'm done with this. Let's
then go then.
Because this is going real left.
Why is this so hard to be respectful that other people could be triggered by the way that you're using your language?
Okay. All right.
Let's do the show. Let's let Ann come in. And I want to get Ann up before I left. Let's get Ann. Go ahead, fam.
Thank you. Her name is Rizzy, and I think it's important that when we want to discuss this case, we say her name and we say it correctly. Also, I think that it is very important that we consider what Callie said, because it is important. We need to give trigger warnings when we're going to reference certain things. And that was very, very explicit. And I can say that because I think that I can say this comfortably. I've struggled with those types of ideations, and my brother has as well. And so when it's something like that, when it's brought up, we have to consider that you may be triggering somebody. So that's all Callie was saying. And she wasn't trying to do anything other than ask you to put forth a trigger warning. But I think that we don't talk about bullying and Black mental health enough, or at all, actually. And seeing what happened to Rizzy, especially like her being unalive, she was live when it happened. It's hard to ignore just how common this bullying pattern is. Black women are often dogpiled. There's constant commentary. People have turned pain into content. And then everyone is acting shocked when things have now gone like too far. What really gets me is that this doesn't just happen online. Black women get bullied everywhere. On this app, it's mass harassment, reaction to videos, strangers picking apart your life, doxing. In corporate America, it's quieter, but it's the same energy. You're singled out, you're micromanaged, talked over, isolated. Suddenly everything you do is a problem, even though the roles keep changing. And there's also the fact that we often get mischaracterized as, the strong Black woman. We get called strong, and it sounds like a compliment, but it's really a way to dismiss us. If we're strong, then we don't need support. If we're strong, then our pain can wait. If we're strong, then nobody has to listen to what we have to say and how we feel. I'm going to say this. I'm the only person of color at my company. And yes, I know I'm melanin deficient. I know. But anytime one of the women wants like a quote unquote diversity take, the conversation starts with, Anne, you're Black, right? Like, I don't understand why that microaggression has to show up before you ask me a question. But it happens a lot. And I just get tokenized on demand. So it's subtle, but it adds up. You're constantly reminded that you're different, that you're being watched, that you're allowed to exist, but only in ways that are useful or comfortable for other people. And the unspoken rule is always the same. Don't make it awkward. Don't overreact. Just deal with it. Be quiet. But that constant pressure does something to you. It messes with your head. It creates anxiety, burnout, hypervigilance. You start questioning yourself. And then you finally can't carry it anymore. And people act like it came from nowhere. Your reaction, whatever reaction you have, they act like it came from nowhere. And it didn't. These systems reward harm. This app rewards outrage and dogpiling. All it wants is for you to stay within the app. And so it gets rewarded. Corporate America rewards silence and professionalism, quote unquote, over actual well-being. Different settings, same results. Black women are expected to take it and keep it moving. So if we actually care about Black mental health, we can't only speak up after the damage is done. We have to take bullying seriously while it's happening, whether it is online or at work. And we have to stop gaslighting Black women when they tell us that what they're experiencing. Being quiet to survive is not the same thing as being strong. And we should not be just surviving. We should be living. Say her name. Her name was Rizzy. And she deserved to live. And she deserved to be remembered. And she deserved to be loved and respected. And she didn't get that. Thanks, Smitty.
Thank you, fam. No, that was very, very powerful. And unfortunately, I got to close on that, or fortunately or unfortunately. I know we have more people that want to speak, but I do have to close on that comment. I've got a meeting at 10:30. But yeah, I hope this made an impact in whether it be folks on the panel or in the comments, people that listened today. This was a topic that Aisha brought to me that I thought was like, yes, I definitely want to talk about this because if it can make an impact into one person's life, we had the brother up here that was up here earlier, and I hope he, along with others, again, heard this other side, because there's a lot of trauma that we carry. There's a lot of things that we've learned from our parents and our families, and again, that we need to unlearn before we pass it down, or if we have passed it down, maybe we can undo some of that trauma that we have created. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I feel like, there are certain things that are not talked about enough on this app. And to Ann's point, check in with your favorite content creators. I know you all have heard me say that before. I'm gonna say it again. You'll be real surprised. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, bro. Aisha, love you back. You'll be real surprised how many people are having real severe problems. And your DM could be what sustains them and keeps them motivated and keeps them going. Please, 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 take the 5 minutes out of your day and check in with them. I promise you it's going to make their day, especially if they are a Black woman who has been subjected to the nonsense that goes on this app. And y'all have taught me so much, all of you today and every day. And y'all the reason why I do this. So I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Y'all be safe.
Galaxy, stop begging. It's cringe. Oh my God. I have secondhand embarrassment.
I just want a Galaxy.
Johnny,
right
have you
now,
seen the one
bro.
where Patrick is the star on the tree?
It's so cute. It's so cute, isn't it?
Bro, why else?
Not on Earth,
Send
one
me the
literally
Galaxy. No
dropped
need.
Galaxy on the Jack account. Dude,
No
that's
need.
Thor,
Bro,
Dog of Thunder.
Hey, Brooke.
First off, I'm following you. Awesome dog. Is that a pity? That's an adorable dog.
What the heck?
Brooke,
Thank you for the Galaxy.
While Johnny's doing his thing over here, thanking people, and let's me and you have a conversation real quick.
Tino, thank you for
Okay,
the $5
okay.
donor. Said a lobotomy.
Thank you for the whatever
converse.
that thing is. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Brooke, you gotta concentrate on me if we're gonna talk.
Thank you, Barbara.
No, Brooke, you gotta concentrate on me if we're gonna
Y'all,
talk.
if you want to support, link is in my bio. Feel free to do so. I will.
If y'all want to support, I'm right here.
So, Brooke, do you think that
Send me the Galaxy, bro.
Yo, he's crying. I love this. Link in bio, folks. Feel free to support. I get 100%
I'm right
when it's
here.
over there.
Like Johnny already rich. Like, I'm trying to make it out. Like, come on.
Let me tell you. I wish. That'd be nice.
I've met Johnny and I had to buy him a beer
I was
because
gonna
he's so
say,
poor.
I'm going to lie.
What?
Pretty broke. Like, especially right now, I can assure you that.
I mean, Johnny, like
Dude, that was a great
Johnny. I'll support Kamala Harris if you send me a Galaxy. I'll stop supporting Donald Trump right now.
I ain't dropping you a Galaxy. Nobody's giving you a Galaxy.
That was another great interview, Johnny. That was good.
Thank you, man. With Congresswoman Craig, isn't she wonderful? I'll tell you, it's always. I've been fighting like heck to make sure that we're getting Congress members who care about the working class up here. I don't want to talk to the ones who like hyperfixate
what
and
the
talk
hell,
about
bro?
the BS propaganda. You know what I'm saying? The ones who
Yo,
like
send me the.
clickbait.
Hey, I'm right here.
So
with y'all,
we've been trying to get the ones who are like really focused on, like for example, she had that's Inflation Reduction Act is hurt. That's
bro.
So, like,
What?
getting those
You
folks
give
up here.
Falls the Galaxy before me? What? Like, bro, what am I
Lily,
doing?
thank you so
Like,
much
come
for the
on,
Galaxy. I appreciate.
Okay, I don't like Donald Trump. I don't like
messaging
Donald
you.
Trump anymore. I don't even like Donald Trump. I don't even know who that is.
Sarcastic.
Bro,
Thank
come
you
on.
so much for the Galaxy. I appreciate it. Notice how I have to sell out my soul for a Galaxy. You're over here saying you'll revoke all your political support for a Galaxy. That's embarrassing.
Please.
I know. His idol and
Lisa,
hero.
thank you for the
I'll sell right
Galaxy.
now for a Galaxy.
Yeah,
Send me
he's
the-
over here saying that he'll
No.
sell his soul for a Galaxy. That's some crazy work.
A dinosaur, bro. What the hell? Like, I'm right here.
Oh, you guys, I do
Nicole.
appreciate. I'm not paying attention to who's sending.
Bro,
these.
why y'all stop, bro? Come
Nicole,
on,
thank
my
you
God,
for the
let's
dollar.
stop.
Said, does this guest know
Make
that Johnny
America
gets a
great
cut of
again? Let's
everything
go.
he gets? Yeah, I know. So the 208 coins that this guest got, I don't think he realizes I get 104 of those.